When you look at the crowds today, you have maybe 5,000–6,000 people here. On the streets yesterday, 1 million people, 1 million Iranians in the street for the Ayatollah Khomeini. Does that not give you concern? Does that not make you afraid?
Because they are afraid, yeah, that's right. And most of the people don't say anything because they are afraid. And they are in silence, you know, they don't say anything.
Is this the silent majority of Iran out here now?
Yes, that's right.
Do you want the Shah to return?
Yes, Shah, return to the country.
Why do you want the Shah? Why does she want the Shah?
ما شاه میخوایم ما بیچاره این
شادی کشتنش حلاله کجای قرآن گفته
"47 years we've been bleeding in the dark, under the shadow of the Islamic regime, with a stone-cold heart. They silenced our voices, they turned off our light. 58 days without internet, but we still fought the night. Our children took the streets, they raised their empty hands, and the world looked away. Do you understand? Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you days, that's all it took. Mothers and fathers and sons, did you even look? We stand with Crown Prince Reza Pahlavi, our hope and voice. Millions behind him marching, he is our only choice. He only fights for freedom, democracy and human rights. But you mock him in your chambers while he fights for our lives, to pull us out of this darkness, this century-long night, while you sign deals with our killers and call it diplomatic right. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? They hang 60-40 souls one by one, hanged within 4 months by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? Do you feel anything at all? Or did something break inside you while Iran answered the call? Do you know Europe? What happened to you, Europe? What made you so cold? What turned your heart to stone while our story went untold? Is oil worth more than blood? Is silence worth the shame? Because while you negotiate with murderers, we are dying, calling your name. Do you know Europe? Do you know what's been done? Do you know Europe? 42,000 souls are gone, killed in 2 days by a regime drenched in blood. Do you know Europe? Or have you just given up? Do you know Europe? We are still here, we are still strong. Do you know Europe? How much longer? How much longer? How long? Do you know Europe?
To all of our friends around the world, under the yoke of the Islamic Republic, Iran is identified in your minds with terrorism, extremism, and poverty. The real Iran is a different Iran, a beautiful, peace-loving, and flourishing Iran. It is the Iran that existed before the Islamic Republic, and it is the Iran that will rise again from its ashes the day the Islamic Republic falls. So let me be clear about how a free Iran will act towards its neighbors and the world after the fall of this regime. In security and foreign policy, Iran's nuclear military program will end. Support for terrorist groups will cease immediately. A free Iran will work with regional and global partners to confront terrorism, organized crime, drug trafficking, and extremist Islamism. Iran will act as a friend and a stabilizing force in the region, and it will be a responsible partner in global security. In diplomacy, relations with the United States will be normalized, and our friendship with America and her people will be restored. The State of Israel will be recognized immediately. We will pursue the expansion of the Abraham Accords into the Cyrus Accords, bringing together a free Iran, Israel, and the Arab world. A new chapter will begin, grounded in mutual recognition, sovereignty, and national interest. In energy, Iran holds some of the largest oil and gas reserves in the world. A free Iran will become a reliable energy supplier to the free world. Policymaking will be transparent. Iran's actions will be responsible. Prices will be predictable. In transparency and governance, Iran will adopt and enforce international standards. Money laundering will be confronted. Organized corruption will be dismantled. Public institutions will answer to the people. In the economy, Iran is one of the world's last great untapped markets. Our population is educated, modern, with a diaspora that connects it to the four corners of the world. A democratic Iran will open its economy to trade, investment, and innovation, and Iran will seek to invest in the world. Opportunity will replace isolation. This is not an abstract vision. It is a practical one, grounded in national interest, stability, and cooperation. To achieve this, now is the time to stand with the Iranian people. The fall of the Islamic Republic and the establishment of a secular, democratic government in Iran will not only restore dignity to my people, it will benefit the region and the world. A free Iran will be a force for peace, for prosperity, and for partnership.
وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه روبروم یه واژه یه هدف به نام انتقامه پشت سرم دعای مادر و تو دستم تفنگ بابامه رو زبونم اسم شاه بگین عشق بی انتهاست هر جا اسم ایران اومد اونجا صدای بچه رضاست فردا می نویسن تو کتاب قصه دیمار بگو با تیر جنگی کشتن بچه های بیگناه رو بگو از بخت مادرها شیر زنا و دخترامون بگو تنها شهید شدیم تا تنها نمونه شامون وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه وقتی واسه غم نی گرچه قصه هامون کم نیست همه خسته این قبولم ما فرصتی واسه ماتم نیست روشن میشه فردا خورشید سرزمین ما سرم باز و سینه سپر بلند میگم جاوید شاه
سلام من به تو یار قدیمی منم همون هوادار قدیم
سید سلام چطوری مردک کلی کتلت شدین دایی بدون مدرک سلام بسیجی قهرمان رفتی پیش توسی با پنیر و یه نون سنگک سلام به محفل قرآنیتون سلام به مدیرای بحرانیتون سلام به حاجی اکبر و طوله هاش و خارج و رفقای ارگانیتون سلام به دزدای پول ملت که تش میفتین توی تور ملت سلام به همه شما کرکسایی که دارین نونتون رو میزنین تو خون ملت ساکتش زیر دست و پاک و تک بخورین حالا هی به یه بادکنک بدوین سلام آخر تو زندان باشه وقتی قرار به این آب خنک بخورین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا اینو بگذاریم به خاک میرسیم تجزیه طلبی که به خاک بیرسیم ایران مردمش وطن پرستن از کرد تا بلوچ بری به فاک میرسی توف به هر کی مرسی است توف به هر کی در پی تجزیه است توف به لوی و همونی که شیفته ی گل ملیگرا تو وطن خدا نستی هست سر کردستان همه برپا شدن بلوچستان فدای مهسا شدن شم واحد که شیر و خورشید ما بقی جعلیا تنها شدن شادی باشه واسه همه در میهن کور بشه چه شهرچی اهریمن رخه رو بگید اون 6 کلاس سواد و خبرگان و مشت سری ترجیحن شبهای عروس و دامادی باشه برن سلامتی نوش کنن و آبادی باشه لحظت کجاست میدون شهیاده به سمت اتوبان آزادی باشه سلام به نسل ندید پدیدا نبودیم ندیدیم قدیم مدیما شاه بود تو شادی کل میزدین حالا شاه بر میگرده پیک میزنین مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا مرگ بر ملا متولی ننگ در دنیا ننگ بر دوتا مجاهد چپی بعد از ملا
اگه به این خوشگلی با آیده بود اسم این عشق‌خواهان رو توش بیاریم ولی خب لازم بود دیگه فکر کنم بانو آیده
Wow!
جاویچا جاویچا Let's go.
میخوام بگم از دلم، از عشق به این میهنم، به امید روز شکست دشمن شاه برمیگرده به وطن. برگشتن پهلوی وحشت هر اجنبی، بلند بگو همشهری شاه رضا پهلوی. نظام رسیده پرتگاه، بلند بگو جاوید شاه. برگشت شاه به میهن، دوای درد وطن. این آخرین نبرده، پهلوی برمیگرده. داره میاد پهلوی، زجه بزن سید علی. راه نجات وطن، پهلوی هموطن. ایران میشه گلستان، شاه که بیاد به ایران. ایران که شاه نداره، حساب کتاب نداره. آخون باید گم بشه، توپ تانک فشفشه. گم شو بیرون اجنبی، داره میاد پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. ما شاه میخوایم نه ملا، بذار بشنوه دنیا. ایرانی داد بزن، شاه تو فریاد بزن. برگشتن پهلوی وحشت هر اجنبی، بلند بگو هموطن شاه رضا پهلوی. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. فریاد بزن جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه. بلند بگو جاوید شاه، شعار هر وطن خواه.
Look at us here today. We see so many flags representing so many nations. We know we are not alone, and we thank you for being with us. For all people around the world who stand today in unity with the Iranian people, this is not just because it's good for us, and you do it out of compassion and care for our rights to liberty and justice and equality and human rights. But understand that it is in your best interest too, to have, unlike this regime that has been propagating terror and radicalism, we the people of Iran are peacemakers and not warmongers. We like to be friends, especially with the free world. We'd like to be able to have the best neighborly relationship with the people of our area and the region, with the Arab countries, with Israel, and all our other neighbors. We are fighting for justice, we're fighting for human rights, we are fighting for liberty, we're fighting to put an end to all sorts of discrimination. Because as an Iranian, I stand here to tell you that I've dedicated 47 years of my life because I think that my country deserves far better than what we have right now. To now understand that their best remedy is to support the people of Iran, because ultimately a free Iran will be your best partner, not just to bring stability and peace, but it will be in your best economic interest and opportunities. Together we can prosper again, and the world will be so different once the Iranian people are free. I am here to guarantee a transition to secular democratic future. I am committed to be that leader of transition for you, so we can one day have the final opportunity to decide the fate of our country through a democratic, transparent process, through the ballot box and free elections. And let's make sure that this time, especially the free nations of this world and their governments, stand on the right side of history.
Well, Durud Patriots, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. Welcome to day 206 of Iran Revolution Live. I do want to apologize, I was not able to live stream yesterday. For those of you who tuned in 2 days ago, I think a lot of you noticed that by the end of my evening live stream, I was losing my voice, and yesterday I pretty much lost my voice, so I wasn't even really able to speak. So I apologize for that, but I'm back now and my voice is fine. So we are going to get started. As always, let me know where you are tuning in from. Always interested to know how big our global community is. Now, guys, there was a lot of news to get through, so I'm just going to dive right in. So, guys, there's also, I just want to point out, so a couple of housekeeping rules, by the way, just a quick reminder. Iran Revolution Live focuses exclusively and specifically on the Iranian people and our fight for freedom against the Muslim Nazis. The Goldie Show, which I'm going to be live streaming pretty much as soon as I'm done this live stream, maybe in about like half an hour when I'm done this one, the Goldie Show is going to focus on the current geopolitical situation, and that's where I give you my sort of geopolitical objective analysis as a former politician and Middle East geopolitical expert. And yes, guys, there have been a lot of boom booms that have been supposedly heard, and Shin is reporting on these boom booms. So I will get into all of that in a couple of hours on tonight's edition of The Goldie Show. Okay, so we are going to get started, of course, with His Royal Highness, the Crown Prince of Iran, or as some people call him, the Shah of Iran. I prefer to call him the Shah. But he posted yesterday. Now, guys, this is really important, okay? And I'm going to remove the live stream chat here so that you guys can actually follow along. So yesterday, August 5th, it was the anniversary of the signing of the constitutional decree on August 5, 1906. Now, guys, for those of you who have actually, been with me for a while, and for those, and you've joined me on my documentary watch parties, you guys are already familiar with the Iranian Constitution, which was created in 1906. Yes, so this is what I mean. When I say that Iran was a constitutional monarchy, I'm not making this up. It's literally history. But, the communists and the Durkas and whatever, they don't want you to know this fact, right? They don't want you guys to know that prior to Islam and Sharia law taking over Iran in 1979, with the help of the communists, by the way, the communists, Marxists, and woke progressives, Iran was a constitutional monarchy, just like the UK, just like Canada, just like, Norway, Sweden, all these other countries, right? And in fact, the first Iranian parliament, democratically elected parliament, was voted in 1906. Okay, so let me just pull this up for you guys. So, if you actually go to, like Wikipedia or, Google or wherever, so it's the Persian Constitutional Revolution of 1906, okay? So I'm not, like, guys, honestly, like, I'm not a big fan of Wikipedia, but, I mean, actually, I might be able to find a better source here. I think this is a better source. So let me just see if I can find a good photo here for you guys. Where is it? Persian Constitutional Revolution. Here we go. Okay, so guys, what you're looking at here, so this is the royal proclamation this is the Shah at the time. In 1906, he was from the Qajar dynasty. The Qajar dynasty is a dynasty prior to the Pahlavi dynasty. So this is the royal proclamation by Muzaffar ad-Din Shah Qajar, which established the constitutional monarchy on August 5, 1906. So yesterday, it was August 5, 2026, which means yesterday was the 120th anniversary of the creation and establishment of the Constitution of Iran, right? So again, anyone who claims that Iran was like a dictatorship or blah, 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 that's basically historical revisionism. Remember, if their lips are moving, they're lying. So Iran became a constitutional monarchy in 1906, and the first majlis, right? So majlis is basically another word. Majlis is the Persian word for parliament, okay? So this was the first majlis. So this was the first majlis back in 1906, okay? Obviously, no women here. That's because, just like the vast majority of other countries at the time, women still did not have the right to vote, and women were not able to be, participate in politics. And Iran under the Muslims was no difference. When the Pahlavi dynasty came in, however, so the Pahlavi dynasty. In 1963, Shahanshah Aryamer, who is the father of the current Shah of Iran, Reza Pahlavi II, Shahanshah Aryamer, he basically gave Iranian women the right to vote in 1963. So Iranian women had the right to vote and had the opportunity to become elected as members of parliament in 1963. Which is before certain European countries. I think like Switzerland, right? So Iranian women were able to participate in politics before the women of Switzerland, okay? But yeah, so this is, and that's the thing, and this is the wild thing. Iran never actually had a women's suffragette movement, right? Think of the women's suffragette movement in the United States or Canada or elsewhere, right? Women had to fight. They had to fight the government for the right to vote and to participate. And if I recall, I don't even think when women first got the right to vote, I'm thinking of Canada. I don't even think they were able to run for office right away. Wait. Let me see. Yeah. Okay. So for example, Where is this? Right. So women. Okay. So for example, in Canada, women in Manitoba became the first in Canada to win the right to vote. Okay. So this is Nellie McClung. She's part of the Canadian women's suffragette movement. However, okay, and then in 1917, a first woman elected to legislator in the British Empire. 1918, some women were granted the right to vote in federal elections. And then finally, in 1921, Agnes MacPhail was the first woman elected to the House of Commons. So. So, the difference with Iran, okay, the difference with Iran is that the first Iranian women were elected to parliament in 1963, following a national referendum granting the women the right to vote and run for office. So, the difference between the suffragette movement in other countries where women had to pretty much fight for the right to vote versus what happened in Iran is that the Shah of Iran, right when he was, this is part of the White Revolution. Okay, so it's called the White Revolution of 1963. You can look it up, and it was called the White Revolution because it was a peaceful revolution. And another name that we have for it in Persian is called Peyvand Shah va Millat. Peyvand means like bonding. And then Shah is, of course, the Shah, and then Millat is the people. So we call it the bonding or the union of the Shah and the people. So essentially in 1963, the Shah of Iran, Shahanshah Aryamer Ruh Shad, not only did he give women the right to vote without a women's suffragette movement, but at the very same time, he said women can also run for office. And that very same year, 6 women were elected right away. So in 1963, as soon as Iranian women were, had the right to vote, immediately 6 women were voted in. And remember, this was a national referendum. Now, what's interesting about the national referendum is that, and those of you who've watched the documentaries, you might remember this tidbit. The national referendum, only men at that time could vote, okay? So the national referendum, okay, the national referendum that gave Iranian women the right to vote, it was only the men who voted. So Iranian men voted overwhelmingly yes to give Iranian women the right to vote and the right to participate in politics, because again, that's the Iranian culture, the Iranian identity, the Iranian civilization, right? Keep in mind, during the Persian Empire that was founded by Cyrus the Great almost 3,000 years ago, there was not only the concept of freedom of religion, but also human rights. So women and men were equal, and women were treated equally to men. Women were business owners, they were landowners, they could hire people, they served in the army, they were generals, they served as heads of state, right? So women were equal to men. It was only when the Arab Muslims conquered Iran in 640 AD, 650 AD, about 1400 years ago, that this whole notion of women being the property of men and second-class citizens took place, right? Because prior to that, in the Persian Empire, men and women were equal. And so that's part of our culture, that's part of our history. So that's why in 1963, the Iranian men voted in a national referendum. They were like, yeah, of course, like Iranian women should absolutely have the right to vote and to participate in office. And then right away, 6 women were voted to the parliament, to the Majlis, right? So little fun fact, a history for you. And of course, those of you who've watched my documentary watch parties, this right here, this right here, the fact that the Shah of Iran gave Iranian women the right to vote, this is what pissed off Khomeini, Khabar Margesh, and all of the other Muslim Durkas, because they saw Iranian women getting the right to vote as a threat to Islam. Because they literally believe that women are the property of men. They literally believe that a woman's place is like in the house, and a woman, it should, I don't know, not, you can't even use the phrase a woman should be seen and not heard, because they don't even want to see you, right? Like, they just believe that women should be treated like cattle. So this right here, the fact that the Shah gave Iranian women the right to vote, is what sort of started this, insane, like the Durkas were just starting to freak out, because they were like, oh no, Iran is not Islamic enough because women have the right to vote. Okay, think about that. They were saying that the Shah of Iran is threatening the concept of Islam because he's giving Iranian women the right to vote, and that's against Islam. And so this is why, guys, this is why the Durkas say that the Shah was a dictator, because they were like, he's offending our Muslim rights, right? Because the Shah was like, I don't care if your religion says that women, remember, like in their religion, in their book, a woman is worth half of a man. And in some cases, like when they're trying to do like certain things, they're like, a woman is worth half of a man's testicle. Yeah, that's in the Quran. A woman, right? A woman is worth half of a man's testicle. You can look that up. So the Durkas were freaking out over the fact that the Shah was disrespecting their right to oppress women. The Shah was disrespecting their right to marry a 9-year-old girl, because again, the Shah at the time, he raised the age of marriage from 9 to 18, right? Like any modern, regular, normal society. He raised the age of marriage to 18. He discouraged child marriage. He also made it mandatory for women to go to school and get educated. And the Muslim Durkas did not like that. So that's why they started calling him a dictator. And then, of course, we've seen all the events leading up to the 1979 Islamic Revolution. Again, if you want to learn more about that, just go look at all. Guys, I've done so many documentary watch parties on this, right? But there you go. So, little fun, interesting historical tidbit for you. So going back to the post from His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi. So this is from yesterday. Today, the anniversary of the signing of the constitutional decree on August 5, 1906, serves as a reminder for us of one of the greatest movements in contemporary Iranian history. A movement that arose from the thoughts and decade-long efforts of patriots who suffered from Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era. You know, I need to show this. I know some of you've already seen this, but I need to show this again. Okay, so when we're talking about the backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era, that's not an exaggeration. Let me show you actual footage of the Islamic hellhole that Iran was during the Qajar era. And guys, remember, Qajar, okay, so let me just get rid of the comments here really quickly. So Qajar, or I guess in English you would say Qajar, but because there's no, like, the q sound doesn't exist in English, but it's Qajar, but I guess Qajar. But let me pull this up, guys. I've shared this documentary, but sometimes it's just super important to like the backwardness. I'm not even exaggerating, and I've shared this, but I've shared this numerous times, but it's important to share it again. So, here we go. All right. So Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era. Let me show you the backwardness and disorder, because you guys, like, it was basically like, it was, think of like medieval Europe. That was basically Iran and Iranians under Islamic rule. Okay, and the Qajar dynasty. The Qajars, the Qajar dynasty, they were basically servants of the clerics. The Qajar dynasty, they would just, bend over and, take it up the rear for the Islamic mullahs and clerics. The Pahlavi dynasty was not like that. That's why the Durkas don't like the Pahlavi dynasty, because the Pahlavi dynasty modernized Iran. The reason that I am, educated, the reason that I, even had the opportunity to run for office in Canada and be a Canadian politician for 7 years is literally because of the investments that the Pahlavi dynasty put in Iran to modernize and build up Iran, right? So let me share this with you, because this is the backwardness that His Royal Highness is referring to. Not this part. Not this part. Not this part. This is the beginning part of the document. So guys, this is a 1974 documentary called The Heirs of Cyrus the Great. It's available on YouTube. Anyone can go and find So the 1970s is when the Shah was really focusing on like investing and building. Roman Viking, it's a thriller. Honestly, it's more like a horror movie. It's more like a horror movie because, whenever, every single time I watch this documentary, I know how the story ends, right? Because this was filmed in 1974 and I know what happened in 1979. So it's literally like a horror movie. But see all of this. This was literally the Shah of Iran who was like, heavily invested in building Iran. So all of the main structures that you see today, they were built back in the 60s and 70s, right?
Iran today, a country brimming with energy, exploding with construction and development, a dynamic state with a thriving capital.
Wait. Guys, did you see that? Did you see the police did you see the traffic officer, guys? Look at that. Do you see, guys, like our traffic officers, our police officers back in the 1970s, they looked normal, well dressed, right? Not like they weren't, like, women weren't wearing those like jihadi garbage bags, right? This is the Iran that we used to have, and this is what we're fighting for. We're guys, literally, the future of Iran will be our past, okay? Because we are fighting to go back. You know what? It's like the jihadi version of Back to the Future, right? Okay, so the Iran's past was the future, and right now, like, the Muslim Durkas have taken over Iran, and it's become like a 7th century Islamic hellhole, and we're fighting to go back to the future, right? Back to the future that we had in 1979, before 1979, right? Because guys, this is footage from 1974.
The most modern achievements under a monarchy dating back 2,500 years.
Yeah, so guys, remember this is the famous structure in Tehran, right? This is Shahyad Tower. The Shah built this tower, okay? So this was built in 1971, I believe. 1971 or 1973, can't remember. But this was built by the Shah. It was called Shahyad Tower. Now, unfortunately, the Muslim Durkas, like they pretend that this is theirs. They renamed this tower because, keep in mind, like communists and jihadis, they are actively trying to erase history. So one of the ways to erase history is to rename things. So they've renamed this tower, but it's called Shahyad Tower. It's a beautiful structure. And then, guys, I also shared a while ago, like the Durkas, they literally are, they literally set up missile launchers in the field here, okay? They've set up ballistic missile launchers in this square here because they are trying to use Shahyad Tower as like a defensive point, right? And that's horrifying. That's horrifying because according to the Geneva Conventions, if you use a civilian location for military purposes, then that location becomes a legitimate military target. And by the way, it also says that anyone who uses a civilian location for military purposes, that is a war crime. That's illegal. So the Muslim Durkas are literally setting up ballistic missile launchers right around here, right around Shahyad Tower, because again, they are a foreign Muslim occupying invasion, right? Like they're not Iranian. They don't care about Iran. They don't care about the Shah. They don't care about, our symbols, right? They would actually take pleasure in seeing Shahyad Tower be destroyed. Okay, that's why they're setting up like that's why they're conducting military operations from here. And we Iranians, obviously we don't want Shahyad Tower to be destroyed because this is one of the most important monuments for us, right? Like this was built by the previous Shah of Iran, Shah Aryameh, the father of the current Shah. And but this is what we mean when I tell you that the Muslim Nazis are occupying Iran, and when I tell you that they're prepared to go scorched earth, this is what I'm talking about, right? They literally take monuments and structures built by the Shah of Iran. They claim it for themselves, and then they literally set up like military bases around it, right? It's just wild. But anyways, I want to go to the part where, anyways, just a quick reminder. So this was the intro. This is when Iran was like a normal, modernizing, pretty much like if not a first world country, like at this point, Iran was like maybe 10 years away from becoming a first world country, okay? Like, as you can tell, like people were modern, normal, right? But just a quick reminder, we're about to go back in time to about 120 years ago, and we will see Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era, right? The Qajar was the previous dynasty before the Pahlavi dynasty, okay? So And guys, when His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi II says Iran's backwardness and disorder, that's putting it lightly. He's being incredibly mild with how it actually was. Okay, guys, now we're getting into the backwardness part, okay? So now, everything that you're about to see, this is the backwardness. So going back here, now, this is the backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era, okay? So, everything you see here, everything you're about to see, this is the backwardness during the Qajar era. This is what the Pahlavi dynasty saved us from, okay? And this is why we Iranians, we are so grateful to the Pahlavi dynasty. Sorry, yeah, Jeremy, exactly. We're in the TARDIS right now. We're literally in the TARDIS, and we're going back to like pre-Pahlavi Iran. Guys, keep in mind, the Qajar dynasty was controlled by the Durkas, okay? So the Durkas were in control, and the Qajar dynasty pretty much did what the Durkas wanted them to do.
This was Iran, the old Persia, 3/4 of a century ago. Romantic scenes of the nomad's life, but in daily routine.
Also, remember, this documentary is from 1974. So when he says 3/4 of a century ago, he's referring to the 1900s. Okay, so just for like a time reference. So 3/4 of a century ago, literally 1900.
This was Iran, the old Persia, 3/4 of a century ago. Romantic scenes of the nomad's life, but in daily routine, wandering from snow-covered mountains in the north to the warmer plains in the south, fording streams and rivers with large herds of cattle and sheep, the struggle for survival, for the bare existence, was unbelievably hard. For those who tilled the land, even for those in the villages, it was not much more comfortable. Obtaining water for irrigation, even with the help of wells like this one, and through underground canals, the qanats, was a strenuous undertaking. Usually, the soil belonged to a feudal landlord who owned mostly the whole village and many more like it. Sometimes up to 100 villages were the property of one landlord. So, what the farmers earned with all that hard work did not even belong to them. Generally, it was divided into 5 portions. The first for the landowner, the landlord. The second for the man who provided the seed, the landlord. The third for the man who supplied the water, the landlord. The fourth for the man who provided the oxen, probably the landlord again. The peasant obtained but the last fifth, from which he had to pay taxes and try to support himself and his family.
So this is the hellhole. This is the Islamic hellhole that Iran was before the Pahlavi dynasty came in and they basically eradicated the feudal landlord system, because the vast majority of Iranians were poor. They were serfs, right? Think of like the medieval times. Remember medieval times in Europe where you had like the landlords and you had the serfs, right? European people, they modernized and they got rid of that, like, the serf system and the feudal landlord system, right? But that continued in Iran well into the 20th century. So up until like 1925, the vast majority of Iranians were pretty much like modern day slaves, because they had to work. And guys, keep in mind, when he's referring to the landlords were usually the turban heads, right? The Durkas, the Muslims, right? Like, so the landlords, right? The clerics, blah, 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 they basically owned slaves. And the slaves had to work and toil the land. And the landlords took 80% of the harvest. The serfs got 20%, but then they still had to pay taxes on the 20%, right, that they had to give to the mullahs, right? Because the mullahs were the ones who were in charge, right? So there you go. Just a quick note on that. Guys, this is why the Durkas hate the Pahlavi dynasty, right? This is why they hate the Pahlavi dynasty, because the mullahs were in charge, and they didn't like the fact that the Pahlavi dynasty eradicated pretty much modern day slavery and mandated or forced all Iranians to get an education and become literate and, all that stuff. This is how we lived. Right? I mean, guys, compare these scenes, compare these images with what you saw at the beginning of the documentary. That was like, 70 years later. So literally within 70 years, we went from like an Islamic jihadi third world hellhole to a modernizing, developing country, right? That was because of the Pahlavi dynasty. Like, look at this, and then just remember, 70 years later, those are the images that you saw at the beginning of this documentary.
In such poverty and ignorance, nobody cared for even the most modest hygiene.
You see this? Like crawling in flies.
And there was no chance for a brighter future. Guards on the roofs of the mud huts, always alert for armed bandits or whole nomadic tribes who could attack at any time, and often did.
This is my tribe, by the way, guys. If anyone's interested, these are the Lord Bakhtiaris. These are the lords, right? So remember, like the lords are like the warrior people. Yeah, these are the lords. So my tribe, and some of them are still nomadic, but most lords have pretty much settled down. Yeah, there's still numbers, but this is what we used to do. We used to just like ride around on horseback and protect the border and stuff from what our tribe is known for is like protecting the borders of Iran from like the invading Durkas and the Arabs.
Attack at any time, and often did. None of these attacks could ever be filmed, but tribes like these defied all attempts to pacify the country. Travelers through the countryside paid tolls to those tribes, who in turn protected them against attacks, or just refrained themselves from robbing them. But even if the travelers bought relative security from the bandits, the condition of the roads made each journey a hazardous adventure. The Caravanserai, a fortified place providing shelter for the...
So caravan-sara, kind of like the ancient version of like a hotel or a motel or something, right?
Caravans at night, a trading center by day. But not a totally secure shelter, because against a marauding tribe there was no guaranteed security in those days in old Persia, where there was no such thing as a strong central government with an effective police force. Girls heavily veiled. Children memorizing Quran verses by...
Okay, this is the part. This is the part. Okay, this is the part. So girls heavily veiled, but then the boys, guys. So remember, this documentary, like this is from 1974, but this footage is from 120 years ago. So this is like Iran in the 1900s, okay, like early 1900s. Definitely before, like, I don't know, man, but definitely before the Pahlavi dynasty came in. But I would say this footage is from somewhere like 1900 to like 1920. Okay, so this is like 100 years ago. Not only were the girls like heavily veiled, right? Because that's what the Durkas do. But now you're gonna see the only education that the little boys got was the mullah, the turban head, was forcing them to memorize the Quran. Remember, the Quran, their demon book, it's in Arabic. Okay, so basically, the only education they got was just memorizing the Quran, as if that's going to like prepare you for life, right? So again, this is why the Islamic regime is a complete failure when it comes to actual government policy and economics, because, you know, Sharia law is garbage. But anyways, let's continue. So you're just catch this.
Those days in old Persia, where there was no such thing as a strong central government with an effective police force. Girls heavily veiled. Children memorizing Quran verses by heart, but for most of them, this was all they ever learned to read. Children laboring at the age of 8. In the countryside, they might even begin working in the fields at a younger age. These scenes are but a reflection of the autocratic system prevailing in the adult world as well. (1906) Revolution. Persia was the first country in the Middle and Near East where a revolution in favor of a democratic constitution occurred and was successful.
Boom! Now we get to the post from His Royal Highness, King Reza Pahlavi II, right? The anniversary of the signing of the constitutional decree on August 5, 1906. Serves as a reminder for us of one of the greatest movements in contemporary Iranian history, a movement that arose from the thoughts and decades-long efforts of patriots who suffered from Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era. So, guys, yesterday, August 5th, was the 120th, I stopped sharing my screen. Yesterday, August 5th, was the 120th anniversary of the Persian constitutional Persian, like the constitution coming into force. Okay, so now let's continue. Now you guys see, guys, I might take you on a little bit of a journey, but I know where I'm going. I know where I'm taking you.
6. Revolution.
Where?
Persia was the first country in...
There we go.
(1906) Revolution. Persia was the first country in the Middle and Near East where a revolution in favor of a democratic constitution occurred and was successful.
Oh. There you go. There's a Durka who didn't want a constitution.
The constitutionalists, among them quite a number of clergymen, forced the then Shah to abdicate in favor of his son. In 1909, with active Russian military help, the exiled Shah tried to regain power and abolish the constitution.
Did you catch that? So in 1909, the Russians tried to take over. Did you catch that? Soviet influence, Russian influence has been, right, like destroying Iran. And in fact, what happened in 1979, the Islamic coup d'etat that happened in 1979, that was because of the Soviets. They have been trying to bring Iran under Russian control for over a century.
The constitutionalists, among them quite a number of clergymen, forced the then Shah to abdicate in favor of his son. In 1909, with active Russian military help, the exiled Shah tried to regain power and abolish the constitution.
So the communists wanted to abolish the constitution. Anyway, so we're going to leave it there because I just basically wanted to give you guys a very brief, backgrounder on what His Royal Highness, the Shah of Iran, is speaking about when he's referring to the fact that Iran was backwards, right? So Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era. Okay, so now that I gave you guys a brief history lesson, I'm going to go back and I'm going to read his entire message. My fellow compatriots, today the anniversary of the signing of the constitutional decree on August 5, 1906, serves as a reminder for us of one of the greatest movements in contemporary Iranian history, a movement that arose from the thoughts and decades-long efforts of patriots who suffered from Iran's backwardness and disorder during the Qajar era. The ideal of constitutionalism was founded on three fundamental principles: the rule of law, national sovereignty and the will of the people, and the progress and advancement of Iran. The constitutionalists had clearly realized that without law, a modern judiciary, and an organized economy, the country's independence and progress would be impossible. Perhaps the words of Abul Hassan Khan Pirnia, the representative of Tehran in the session of September 6, 1907, of the first National Consultative Assembly. So he's referring to the first parliament, the first Majlis, right? So Abul Hassan Khan Pirnia was one of the first Iranians elected to parliament in Iran in 1906. And now he's sharing his words. Perhaps the words of him can be seen as the epitome and embodiment of their aspirations. The Iranian people have reached the end of their rope. We need two things. One is finance and the other is justice. The book, One Word, by Mirza Yusuf Khan Moshir, al-Dawleh also recalled the same truth. The secret of the country's progress is summed up in one word: law. However, this struggle faced resistance from constitutionalists who prioritized the rule of Sharia and the jurists over law and national sovereignty, right, guys? So it all comes back to Sharia law, right? Guys, all of the issues comes back to Sharia law, okay? That intellectual current, decades later, took the form of the Islamic Republic and the guardianship of the jurist, which came to dominate Iran. So, the Durkas were never happy that Iran had turned into a constitutional monarchy. The Durkas were never happy that people wanted a modern, progressive, secular country. And they just wanted Sharia law. They wanted Islam to govern the country. And so those constitutionalists who wanted Sharia law, the modern day version of them is the Islamic regime, right? Regrettably, and this is the important part. So he says, regrettably, even today, some political factions, albeit with a different appearance, continue to oppose the principle of popular sovereignty and the acceptance of the people's vote as the final authority in determining Iran's future political system. So what he means is that, you know, the Durkas are saying that regardless of what people want or don't want, Sharia law is the law of the land, and if a person's will is against Sharia law, then that person is an enemy of Islam. And, you know, we all know what happens to Iranians who are charged with the crime of muharebe. Muharebe means waging war against Allah. They're executed, right? So this is why, guys, anyone who fundamentally believes in Sharia law, they are not compatible with Western civilization. They're not compatible with modern society. So anyone who comes to your Christian countries, or, you know, for you know, Israel, like, I'm not going to mention Israel because Israel, you guys, you know, you have it down pat. Israel, you know, is an Israeli state. God bless Israel. I'm Israel Chai. You guys know what's going on, so you're protecting your border and your countries, and God bless you all. But, you know, for all of the, you know, other people in various Christian countries, you know, America, Canada, you know, UK, wherever, Australia, guys, like, when you let people come to your countries who literally believe in Sharia law, that's not compatible with your government system, because anyone who believes in Sharia law, aka Islam, because, guys, Islam, it's not just a religion. It's like a political thing too. It's like, it's jihad basically, right? So the people who believe in Sharia law, they literally believe that it is their duty and responsibility to impose Sharia law on everyone else and to convert everyone to Islam, and those who don't want to convert have to be murdered, right? So yeah, Sharia law is like, it's just, right? Like, it's just, it's completely incompatible. Anyways, he continues. Although the turmoils of the final years of the Qajar rule and the obstructionism of the constitutional opponents prevented the full realization of this movement's ideals, a significant portion of those ideals were realized and implemented during the reign of the two Pahlavi monarchs, including the establishment of a modern judiciary, excuse me, including the establishment of a modern judiciary, the construction of the national railway, the modernization of the army, the provision of national security, the founding of the National Bank, the organization of economic and financial affairs, and the creation of other foundational institutions for development. Today, honoring the constitutional revolution means emphasizing the rule of law, the vote and will of the people, the complete separation of religion from government, and returning Iran to the path of progress and civilization. On this basis, my program for guiding Iran through the transitional period emphasizes holding free elections, upholding the sovereignty of the people's vote, forming a constituent assembly to determine the country's future path, and creating the conditions for the flourishing and prosperity of all Iranians. Happy anniversary of the issuance of the constitutional decree, and may the memory of all those who strove for the path of freedom, law, and Iran's progress be eternal. So this was his post from yesterday, and I wasn't able to share this yesterday because I wasn't feeling well, but you know, I'm back today, and we're going over all of this because this is really important, right? Really, really important. Now, there's something else that I want to share with you. This was a post from His Royal Highness. He posted this about a couple of hours ago, and this has to do with the Caspian Sea. Now, for those of you who just might need a quick refresher, okay, the Caspian Sea is located, okay, oops, here you go. This is the Caspian Sea. So this is Iran here, and the Caspian Sea is located right on top of Iran. So when you think about Iran being the kitty cat, you know, you have, you know, the head with the ears and the little like chest area, and then the arch in the back. So the Caspian Sea is right where the arch in the back is. So let's talk about the Caspian Sea. His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi II posted a couple of hours ago, Iran's rights in the Caspian Sea are not negotiable. Now, what is he referring to? Well, let me tell you. The Islamic Republic, amid profound structural weakness and a deep crisis of legitimacy, is seeking to advance and implement the Convention on the Legal Status of the Caspian Sea, the Aktau Convention. This effort, undertaken without the mandate of the Iranian people and without a clear and comprehensive guarantee of Iran's historic rights, is deeply concerning and constitutes a serious threat to Iran's national interests. Under the 1921 and 1940 treaties between Iran and the Soviet Union, guys, so again, right, we're speaking about Putin and the communists, right? So, I mean, the Soviet Union in the past, however, what's happening right now is related to Putin and the communists. So, under the 1921 and 1940 treaties between Iran and the Soviet Union, the legal regime governing the Caspian Sea was founded on the parties' shared rights and the principles of mutual agreement and common interests. Following the dissolution of the Soviet Union and the newly independent states reaffirmed in the Alma-Ata Declaration of December 1991, their commitment to the treaties of the former Soviet Union and to fulfilling the international obligations arising from those agreements through the successor states. Accordingly, any fundamental change to the legal status of this strategically vital body of water must be made with the agreement of all littoral states and with full respect for Iran's rights. However, the Aktau Convention provides for the conclusion of bilateral and multilateral agreements among the littoral states concerning portions of the seabed and subsoil of the Caspian Sea, areas that were previously part of the shared waters of Iran and the Soviet Union. This sets a dangerous precedent. By circumventing the principle of consensus among all littoral states, it effectively weakens Iran's historic position and diminishes the country's role in determining the future legal status of the Caspian Sea. Since the signing of the Aktau Convention in 2018, I have repeatedly warned that national interests cannot be safeguarded from a position of weakness. At the time, I also stressed that the criminal clique ruling the Islamic Republic sacrifices the interests of the Iranian nation and homeland for its own survival, and that its foreign policy repeatedly resorts to concessions and appeasement from a position of weakness. So, guys, essentially, the Islamic regime is giving up Iran's rights, by the way, illegally, right? Because they don't, like the Islamic regime, they're an illegitimate foreign occupying invading force. They don't actually have the right or the legitimacy to sign away Iran's rights, okay? But what the Islamic regime has been doing, in plain words, is that in order to get favors from Russia, okay, so in order to have Russia help them with various things, they are literally signing away Iran's rights to certain parts of the Caspian Sea, okay? This is illegal. They don't have the right to do that, okay? For various reasons. One is that all countries have to agree, like all countries surrounding the Caspian Sea have to agree to this. But second of all, the Islamic regime is illegitimate, so they don't have the authority to sign away parts of Iranian land to the Russians, right? Because they are an invading, occupying force, right? That would be like the equivalent of, let's say, like, imagine if, like, not, during World War II, when Nazi Germany was invading France, and then they're like, oh, well, you know what, we're gonna, like, because we're occupying France, we have the authority to give, to carve up France and, just give away different parts of France to other countries, right? No, you don't have the right to do that because you are an illegitimate foreign occupying invasion. So, but yeah, like this is what the Islamic regime does. They don't care about Iran. They don't care about Iran's sovereignty. Like, they are literally willing to destroy Iran if it means their own survival, and that's exactly what's happening here right now. Anyways, His Royal Highness continues, my position on the current process remains unchanged. I consider the Islamic Republic's attempt to ratify this convention to be contrary to Iran's national interests, and I agree, right? So now, the Islamic regime, basically what's happening is that the Islamic regime is, like, they know that they're losing. They see the writing on the wall. They are desperately trying to remain alive in one way or another. And so now they're literally trying to give away Iranian land to the Russians in exchange for some sort of favor or boon or something from Putin, right? Like, this is what's happening. And that's why His Royal Highness is calling it out. No decision concerning Iran's resources, borders, or sovereign rights in the strategic body of water can possess legitimacy without the genuine participation and consent of the Iranian people. Iran's rights in the Caspian Sea are not negotiable, nor can they be relinquished. Any action that undermines these rights will be recorded in the historical memory of the Iranian nation, and those responsible will ultimately be held accountable by the people of Iran. So I just wanted to share that with all of you because this is, really important, and this isn't the first time that the Islamic regime has been, undermining Iran's sovereignty, right? Now, just a little bit of an update on the Iranian revolution. So, a couple days ago, His Royal Highness Reza Pahlavi, he met with a group that is called the Patriotic Doctors of Iran, okay? And this is a group of Iranian doctors, both inside and outside of occupied Iran. And I'm talking about medical doctors, right? Like, the real doctors, not a fake doctor like me, right? Like I'm a Juris Doctor. I'm not a real doctor. These are like actual, like real legitimate doctors, right? Like medical doctors, and many of them have actually been helping Iranian protesters by doing like telehealth, right? So and they do it for free. So you know, during numerous uprisings or whatever the case might be, when Iranians haven't been able to go to the hospitals, because if you guys recall, I shared the video a couple days ago. If you're an Iranian freedom fighter and you're injured, if you go to a hospital, the Muslim Nazis will follow you and they'll shoot you in the head and murder you while you're in the hospital, right? My sister says, I would let you do brain surgery on me. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, that's a terrible decision, and no. I don't like blood, guys. I don't like blood. I don't like needles. That's literally the reason I didn't go to medical school, is because I don't like blood and I don't like needles. So I'm not doing surgery on anyone. But anyways, all of these, you know, Iranian doctors from inside Iran and around the world, they created this organization called the Patriotic Doctors of Iran. And they have been helping Iranian freedom fighters in occupied Iran with, you know, like basically like telemedicine, right? So they've done these like Zoom meetings, Zoom interviews or whatever, and then they give Iranians, injured Iranians, advice on how to heal or whatever the case might be. But yesterday, they met with His Royal Highness, the Shah of Iran. And I want to share this with all of you because this is the kind of stuff that you don't hear in the mainstream media. And it's really important to note and just to remember that just because the mainstream media is not reporting on the Iranian revolution or what's happening, guys, there are things that are happening every day. And so I want to share this video. It's 5.5 minutes long. It is in the Persian language. However, it is subtitled, so you guys, you know, follow along with the subtitles. For those of you who are, you know, watching or tuning in, but you can't see or you know, look at the chat, like the subtitles, my apologies. If this was a shorter video, I would definitely go over and read the subtitles, but because it's 5.5 minutes long, there's too much news. I don't have the time, unfortunately, so you're gonna have to go back and watch the subtitles at some point. But it is really important for me to share. All right, let's get started, guys.
هر کدوم از ما تخصص‌های مختلف داره، هر کدوم از ما شبکه‌های مختلف خودش رو در کشورهای خارجی به خصوص داره. اکثر گروه هم با همکاران داخل کشور در تماس هستیم. خیلی از افراد گروه ما با اپوزیسیون داخل ایران در تماس هستیم.
پیشنهاد و امید من اینه که صنف‌های دیگه، مهندسین، آموزگاران، نظامیان و دیگران هم بتونن، شاید هم تونسته باشن و ما باید از اون باخبر بشیم، بتونن همین کار رو انجام بدن که بتونیم دست به دست هم کشورمون رو با ایرانگرایی پیش ببریم.
سال 98 با حزب کمونیست کارگری ایران فعالیت میکردم و ما تمام تلاشمون این بود که به هر حال به مردم ایران کمک کنیم، حالا به یه زاویه دیگه. الان مردم شما رو انتخاب کردن. من شما رو یکی از خودمون ببینم که فرزند ایران پا وسط گذاشتید، ما هممون می‌خوایم از شما حمایت کنیم.
یه گروه کوچک امداد در نروژ تشکیل دادم که بتونیم این تیم رو بزرگترش بکنیم، به خاطر اینکه ما نیاز به گروه امداد داریم.
یکی از برنامه‌هایی که انجام دادیم نمایشگاه آنچه باقی ماند بود. تمام وسایل شخصی که خانواده‌های دادخواه جمع کرده بودن در سطح خیلی بزرگ ما جمع‌آوری کردیم و همه رو به صورت نمایشگاه گذاشتیم. از سالهای دوره 60 که این همه کسی کشته و اعدام شد و شکنجه شد تا امروز.
پس از آزادی یک بنیادی داشته باشیم، یک فونداسیون داشته باشیم که حمایت کنن از خانواده جاویدنامه‌ها و مجروحین.
زمانی که من طرح بودم
خب مناطق ایران بر اساس درجه محرومیت درجه بندی داشتن. من داشتم فکر می‌کردم مثلا به محض اینکه حالا سیستم بخواد آزاد بشه و بخواد یه سری کارا انجام داد بشه برای کارهای کوتاه مدت از این زیرساختایی که فعلا وجود داره بشه استفاده کرد. مثلا همون سیستم بهورسایی که وجود دارن اونها تمام مردم منطقه‌شون رو میشناسن، میدونن که چه خدمات بهداشتی فوری رو میشه بهشون داد.
خیلی از مسائل بهداشتی هست که متاسفانه در کشور ما رعایت نمیشه، مثل حتی یک واکسن HPV که هنوز در کشور من جا نیفتاده و تا سرطان میتونه بکشه.
به هر حال متاسفانه با این میزان شکنجه و تروما و زندانی که الان هست، یکی از معضلات آینده ما در ایران این خواهد بود که مردم ایران خیلی خصوصا کسایی که از زندان آزاد میشن ضربه هایی به سرشون داشتن، ضربه های مغزی داشتن و بر این اساس داریم کار میکنیم، بر این اساس داریم برنامه ریزی میکنیم که خب چطور میتونیم بعداً بهشون کمک کنیم.
بسیار بسیار مهمه که از کجا شروع کنیم، چه جوری شروع کنیم، ببینیم چی در دستمون هست و باز در پروژه شکوفایی راجع به این صحبت کردیم.
توی دنیای ما الان سایبری داریم کار میکنیم و نمیدونم اینفلوئنسا افرادی هستن که خودشون رو به عنوان مشاور مطرح میکنن و این سری چیزها رو میگن و همین اصلا باعث شد که خود من در زمینه از حدود 7-8 ماه شروع کردم، یه مقداری مطالب رو ارائه میدم.
باید یه نیم نگاهی هم به خارج بندازیم. مردم خارج از کشور همش در استرس و
Guys, I just have to pause here. Like, I'm looking at like the names and the subtitles. Like, guys, every single one of these people, like one of them is like a cancer specialist. One of them is like they have like these aren't just like random doctors. They're literally like specialists in their field. There's like a cancer specialist. There's like a biologist. There's like a mental health specialist. Like all of them with PhDs, right? But like these are like top level Iranians in the healthcare field around the world, and they all have PhDs or medical degrees. One was like a neurosurgeon or something, right? Like literally, like it's just the top of the field, right?
این همایش‌های هفتگی صرف نظر از جنبه مبارزاتی خودش مثل یه ملاقات.
Oh wait, let me go back. So guys, this is the Shah's team, remember? So right here, this is the Shah's team. This is Kamran Khansarania. He is like the Shah's sort of like chief of staff. This is Amir Etemadi. This is like pretty much like his right-hand man. And this is Tina Qazi Morad. Guys, she is she's basically like the Iranian version of Caroline Levitt. So think of Caroline Levitt and what she is to President Trump. Tina is the equivalent of that to His Royal Highness the Shah of Iran. And ever since he brought her into his team as the sort of official press secretary and, you know, responsible for media and comms. His comms game has gone like from 0 to 100. Like she's literally taken the media and comms strategy to the next level. So one of the best things that His Royal Highness and his team could do was to hire Tina as like the Iranian Caroline Levitt, right? Like she's absolutely phenomenal. I've known her for quite a while. I have a lot of respect for her. Like she is just, I couldn't think of a better person to be responsible for His Royal Highness's press and media and comms, because that's literally her background, and she's so good at it.
مثل یه ملاقاته توی شهرها. اینقدر این قشنگه که حد و حساب نداره.
من دوستی داشتم جراح تروما تو تهران، موقع عمل جراحی روی یکی از زمینایی که صدمه دیده بوده اومدن گفتن که عمل نباید کنید بخاطر که و اومده گفته نه من اگه تو هم مریض باشی من تو رو عمل میکنم. اومدم توی اتاق عمل شاتگان زدم توی زیر زانوشو، ولی با این حال بهش میگم که برنامه.
Okay, wait guys. I need to repeat this. This is, oh my gosh. Okay. So he says, I had a friend, a trauma surgeon in Tehran. Tehran is the capital city of Iran. while operating on one of the injured victims. He means the Islamic regime. The Islamic regime came in and told him he shouldn't operate because of who the patient was. And then his friend, the trauma surgeon, responded, even if you, he's referring to the Islamic regime, even if you were the patient, I would still operate on you. They walked into the operating room and shot him below the knee with a shotgun. So guys, the Islamic regime, they shot a trauma surgeon below the knee in the leg with a shotgun because the trauma surgeon was trying to save the life of an Iranian freedom fighter. Okay? And the Muslim Nazis, the Muslims, they shot the Iranian doctor in the leg, right?
زیر زانوشو، ولی با این حال بهش میگم که برنامه‌ای نداری از ایران بیا؟ میگه نه آقا من کجا برم از ایران بیرون، منتظر ایستادیم تا ما پیروز بشیم.
همکاران ما نه فقط از نظر سیاسی بلکه در خیلی از مقطع‌ها از نظر اقتصادی تحت فشارن به خاطر مشکلات بیمه که وجود داره و کاری که ما سعی می‌کنیم توی انجمن بکنیم اینه که باهاشون ارتباط داشته باشیم. اگر از نظر سیاسی تحت فشارن، اگر مشکل زندان تحت تعقیب هستن، بتونیم صداشون باشیم، مستندسازی کنیم تا جایی که بشه رسانه‌ای کنیم، با نهادهای بین‌المللی صحبت کنیم.
شکنجه‌های جمهوری اسلامی انجام داده با داروها و در مورد اینها ما در مقالات پزشکی داریم می‌نویسیم از
Okay, wait, guys, this is also important. The Islamic regime has carried out tortures using drugs. Guys, this is a thing. This is a thing. The Islamic regime, they torture Iranian people with drugs in one way, shape, or form. I've spoken about it in the past, but it's absolutely horrific.
انجام داده با
And then he says that they're currently working on, writing like papers or research papers to document all this.
با داروها و در مورد اینها ما در مقالات پزشکی داریم می‌نویسیم. از 8 و 9 دی از 2 تا از بیمارستان برای ما یه سری عکس و تصویر و رپورت فرستاده شد که اونم در حال چاپ مقالش هستیم، چون وقتی که چاپ شد میشه سند، به عنوان سند میشه توی دادگاه آوردش.
ما یک کلینیک مجازی داریم، گروه‌های مختلف پزشکان هستن، گروه ما هستن، از ایران مستقیم میتونن تماس بگیرن، آنانوم، یعنی که اصلا نه اسمشون رو میخوان نه چی، اسمش هست کلینیک انقلاب ملی. نسبت به اون اتفاقی که براشون افتاده تماس میگیرن و ما هر گروه هستیم، 4-5 نفر، یه جراح توشه، یه پزشک توشه، روان پزشک توشه، مشکلشون رو حل میکنیم.
ما با یک دید آینده نگر داریم وارد میشیم. فوکوسمون بره به خصوص به مناطقی که از همه بیشتر نارسایی رو درش دیدیم. در کانتکست برنامه‌ریزی‌های آینده که بخشش خب دولت باید انجام بده، بخشش هم فکر کنم حوزه خصوصی، به چه شکلی ما میتوانیم این دورنما رو در کشورمون در نظر بگیریم از هر لحاظ، از نظر بیمه‌های بهداشتی، از نظر بیمارستان‌ها، از نظر تربیت و آموزشی که هست. شاید یه مقدار اقتباس از آنچه که قبلا داشتیم مثل سپاه دانش و سپاه بهداشت و غیر و ذالک، یه تقسیم کاری رو میشه بر اساس این پیش بینی کرد که به چه شکلی اینا رو فردا میشه در واقع براش فکر کرد و از همکنون راجبش برنامه‌ریزی کرد.
Wow. So there you go. That was the meeting that His Royal Highness had with doctors and physicians and others who are working to free Iran. Now I want to share this video with you. This video is based on first-hand eyewitness testimonies from people who witnessed the public executions in Isfahan. As those of you who've been watching me for a while know, roughly a week ago, just over a week ago, during my evening live stream, when I was out of town, we got news of the public executions in Isfahan, and I was giving you the video and footage of Iranians going out of the streets trying to fight and prevent the executions, but unfortunately the executions went through. Anyway, so now we have a video. This video is based on first-hand eyewitness testimonies from people who witnessed the public executions in Isfahan. It also honors the extraordinary courage of those who went to the execution site knowing they could be arrested, beaten, or even killed, yet still gathered in an attempt to stop the executions and stand beside the victims' families. For the safety and security of those who shared their accounts, all voices have been re-recorded by others. The words are their own. So the voices that you hear, these are not the voices of the actual people. It's, voice actors speaking to protect the original people for their own safety. These testimonies present a picture of the Islamic Republic's helplessness and fear, and its use of public executions as a tool to instill terror and intimidation. Again, this is subtitled, so guys, just follow along with the subtitles.
هیچکس به ما نگفته بود که اون روز قراره برادرم رو اعدام کنن. فقط یه تلفن زدن گفتن که حکم اجرا شده. و تمام زندگی ما تو چند کلمه تموم شد. مادرم اول هیچی نگفت، فقط به صورتم نگاه کرد، بعد آروم بلند شد رفت تو اتاق برادرم، کمدشو باز کرد، شروع کرد لباساشو زیر کردن. گفتم مامان چی کار داری میکنی؟ بدون اینکه حتی سرشو بلند کنه گفت هوا سرده، این کاپشنش هم ببریم، بچه هم زود سردش میشه. جمهوری اسلامی فقط برادرمو نکشت، همه ما رو با برادرم کشت.
توی میدون علیخانی ساعت 11-12 شب شروع کردن داربست زدن برای اعدام 3 تا از بچه‌ها. حدودا ساعت 1 شب بود که مامورای یگان‌ویژه اومدن، پشت سرش هم 2 تا آمبولانس. جمعیت مردم معمولی هم همینطوری هی داشت بیشتر و بیشتر میشد، اما هیچ درگیری اتفاق نیفتاده بود. اصلا انگار مردم بهت زده بودن و فقط به داربستا نگاه می‌کردن، به صحنه‌ای که اینا آماده کرده بودن برای اعدام.
هر کسی هر کی میرسید این مادرها، پدرها، خواهرها، برادرها رو سعی می‌کرد آروم کنه. ساعت 3:30 بچه‌ها رو آوردن و برای حکمشون.
وقتی صدای اذان پخش شد همه شروع کردن به گریه. بعضی‌ها هو می‌کشیدن چون می‌دونستن قراره حکم اجرا بشه. هر کسی یه جوری صدا در می‌آورد که صدای اذان همزمان با اجرای اعدام شنیده نشه. شعار بی‌شرف هم شنیده می‌شد و از همونجا درگیری شروع شد.
مامورا با موتور زدن توی جمعیت تا مردم رو متفرق کنن. اول اسپری فلفل زدن، بعد تیر ساچمه‌ای هوایی شلیک کردن، بعدش هم به سمت مردم تیر ساچمه‌ای زدن. جمعیت به چند قسمت تقسیم شده به کوچه‌های اطراف رفت. صدای تیر جنگی هم میومد، ولی من ندیدم به کسی تیر جنگی بخوره.
ما توی کوچه‌های اطراف منتظر بودیم که شاید بتونیم دوباره برگردیم. دیگه ساعت نزدیکای 5 بود. یه دفعه دیدیم صدای الله اکبر بلند شد. فهمیدیم لعنتی‌ها حکم اجرا کردن.
توی اصفهان موقع اعدام یه مأمور به یکی از مادرایی که در حال گریه کردن بوده میگه بلندتر گریه کن، نوبت شما هم میرسه، یادمون میمونه، بلندتر گریه کن.
امیر حسین صفری قبل اعدام به مادرش میگه مامان اون ویدیویی که از من گرفتن اعتراف اجباری بود، به همه بگو من کسی رو نکشتم.
وقتی خبر اعدام بچهای اصفهان اومد دیگه نمیترسیدم. تو همون میدون علیخانی که چند ماه پیش بچه‌هامون رو به رگبار بسته بودن وایسادیم زیر نور لیزرایی که از بالای ساختمون تهدیدمون می‌کرد، شعار دادیم، زل زدیم تو چشتون و مرگ بر شما فرستادیم. ما غممون تبدیل به خشم شده و وای به حال اون روزی که فراخوان آخر بیاد.
فهمیدم دنبال یه گردن برای سلامشون میگردن. نه دادگاهی صدای ما رو شنیده، نه اصلا قاضی و مسئول دادگاهی وجود داشت که بخواد به حرفمون گوش بده.
There's one thing I want to repeat here. Okay? So, I'm going to repeat this part. This is a woman. She's saying, we waited in the nearby alleyways, hoping we could go back, right? So hoping that, so when she says we waited in the nearby alleyways, what she's referring to is that, the Iranians who went there to the square to try and prevent the public executions of the innocent Iranian freedom fighters, they were shot at. So many of them fled because they're unarmed. So she's like, we waited in the nearby alleyways, hoping we could go back. By then, it was getting on for 5 o'clock. Guys, keep in mind, the morning prayer, like the morning Islamic prayer, when they go Allahu Akbar, and whenever you hear like the, I don't know, the Islamic sounds on the speakerphone coming from the mosques, we Iranians, we actually hate that sound. Like, that sound is traumatic for us, okay? I know, like, I don't know why, like, some people who are, I don't know, like, maybe the Karens or whatever, the Karens are like, oh, what a beautiful sound, it's so romantic, right? Like, guys, for us Iranians, when we hear, like the Allahu Akbar jihad crap blaring from the loudspeakers of the mosques, that's like traumatizing for us, because their morning Islamic prayer basically means that they're hanging Iranians, okay? So we actually equate the Allahu Akbar, blah, 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 right? Like, we literally equate that with death, okay? We equate that with death. And for the last 47 years, the Islamic regime, they have been murdering Iranians in the name of Allah and Islam and Muhammad and jihad and their garbage Quran and whatever, okay? They've been doing that for 47 years while they're blaring their whatever garbage jihadi nonsense. So, but listen to this. So this woman, okay, so she's saying, we waited in the nearby alleyways hoping we could go back. By then it was getting on for 5 o'clock. Remember, the morning prayer, the Islamic morning prayer is at like somewhere at around 5 or whatever. And then she says, suddenly we heard cries of Allahu Akbar, okay? The Allahu Akbar, right? That's basically the Muslims. They're like, Allah is the greatest, right? So she's like, suddenly we heard cries of Allahu Akbar. We realized the bastards had carried out the sentences, right? Because keep in mind, the way that the Muslim Nazis murder Iranians is when they're hanging them from cranes, not only are they blasting, their demon book, right? So not only are you hearing their demon book going, whatever, but all the Muslims are standing at the bottom of, the Iranian person who's being hanged, and they're just going, Allahu Akbar, over and over and over again, right? So, yeah, guys, we Iranians, we literally equate the Muslim call for prayer with death and executions. And, we equate Allahu Akbar with death and jihad, because the Muslims who have been occupying Iran have been engaging in jihad against us for the last 47 years. And yet, when we try to raise awareness about this, right? When we try to raise awareness about the fact that the Muslims are engaging in jihad and they are murdering us, they're murdering us Iranians in the name of Allah and Islam and Muhammad and the Quran and whatever garbage jihad ideology they have, we're accused of Islamophobia, right? So no one ever calls out them. No one ever calls out the fact that they are murdering Iranians in the name of their garbage religion. But yet when we call it out because we are sick and tired of being murdered for their demon god, we are Islamophobic, right? We're the ones who are Islamophobic because we are tired of being murdered in the name of their demon god and their demon book. And here's an Instagram video. This video is from a while ago. This video is from 5 weeks ago. But I want to share this with you guys, okay? This video here. Here is an Iranian mother. She is mourning. I don't know. How can I make this bigger? Can I make this bigger? How do I make this bigger? No, that doesn't do anything. Anyways, good enough, guys. So this is an Instagram video. I want to share this with you, okay? This is an Iranian mother who is sitting in the bedroom of her murdered teenage daughter, okay? This is her teenage daughter who was murdered by the Islamic regime. Okay? I just want you to listen to her wails. These are the wails of a mother who has lost everything. Everything. She's like دلم تنگ شده برات ماما. She's like, my baby, like, I miss you so much. I miss you so much. Guys, there are thousands and thousands of videos like this, right? This is what Islam did to her teenage daughter, right? An innocent young girl murdered by Muslim Nazis just because she wanted freedom. There's so many more like this, guys. Like, I mean, I could, I don't know, maybe at some point I should just do a live stream where I just go over all these videos, because like if I was going to do a live stream where I went over all these videos, it would be never ending. It would be never ending. This is a little girl, and she says,
سلام بردیا و پاشا.
She's like, hello.
من بارانا هستم.
She's like, من بارانا هستم. So her name is Barana. Beautiful, beautiful name. Baran means rain, and Barana, so that's a girl's name, right? She says, hi everyone, my name is Barana.
دختر جاویدنام امید خرسند.
She's like, I'm the daughter of Javidnam Omide Khostan. So her father was murdered by the Islamic regime. So she's saying hello to another Iranian child. So another Iranian child posted a video of, you know, how they lost their father and they're very sad. So this little Iranian girl, she made this Instagram post to respond to that other Iranian child and say, you know, hi, I'm Barana. I'm the daughter of, oh my gosh, Omid, sorry, I'm trouble with the names. I lost my father too. She's like, my father is a hero. She's like, so she's saying hello to someone named Bardia. Bardia is a boy's name, so she's responding to, I'm assuming, I've probably seen this video, but you know, a little Iranian boy named Bardia probably posted on Instagram about how he lost his father. So now this little girl, she's responding to him on Instagram and, you know, saying, hi Bardia, my name is Barana. I lost my father too.
من بارانا هستم دختر جاویدنام امید خرسند.
So I'm the daughter of جاویدنام امید خدا.
پدر منم مثل پدر شما جاویدنام شده.
She's like, my father, just like your father, is also a Javidnam. Basically, like my father was also murdered by the Islamic regime on the fight to free Iran.
پدر ما قهرمان هستن.
And she's like, and then she says to him, our fathers are heroes. There you go. So, I mean, guys, it's never ending, right? It's never ending. Here's another one. So here's another girl, and that's a photo of her father, and her father's name is Mansour Bagheri. Okay, so now she is posting a message. She's like, hello, I'm the daughter of Javidnam Mansour Bagheri. She's like, even though I miss him so much, and even though he left me very, very soon. She's like, the moment that I found out and I understood why he left me and what he was fighting for. She's like, I am so proud of him. So basically she's like, I'm the daughter of Mansour Bagheri, Javidnam, and even though I miss him so much, and even though he was taken away from me too soon, when I found out and I understood why why he was murdered, I will forever be proud of him and his efforts, basically, like, to free Iran, right?
سلام، من دختر جاویدنام منصور باقری هستم. با اینکه خیلی دلم براش تنگ شده و خیلی زود من تنها گذاشت، از وقتی فهمیدم برای چی و چه هدفی بیرون رفته تا وقتی زندم که داشتن همچین پدری افتخار میکنم.
Like, it's never ending. It's literally never ending, right? So this video, here the caption says, قرار بود عروسیت باشه داداش. Basically that means this was supposed to be your wedding. My dadash is like my brother. Okay, so it's like my brother, this was supposed to be your wedding. So this, this Javidnam, he was supposed to get married, and then of course the Muslim Nazis murdered him. And at what was supposed to be his wedding, everyone is mourning, right? But they still carried on the wedding. And guys, remember, so the reason that Iranians have been dancing at the funerals, right? This has not really been a part of our culture. This has now become a thing that we do because the dancing, it symbolizes our fight against the Islamic regime, right? Because the Muslim Nazis, when they murder us, they're hoping that by murdering us and speeding up the executions, that they will make us submit, okay? However, that's the reason Iranians are now dancing, is because this is a way to fight back, right? So we are honoring their memories. We are still mourning, but we're not doing the whole like Islamic thing where they hit their heads and they're like, right? Like we don't do that. And we also don't do any Allahu Akbars. And as you can tell, none of the funeral ceremonies, right? None of the funeral ceremonies is anyone's like preaching the Quran or their demon religion, right? Because Iranians are being murdered in the name of Allah and Islam and Muhammad and Jihad and Hassan and Hussein and Khabar Marag Hamashim. So why would we as Iranians blast the music of the Muslim occupiers? So what we do instead is think of it as like a celebration of life, okay? I guess that would be the best way to explain it. It's a celebration of life, but it's still very painful, right? Um, so so the dancing is basically a middle finger to the Islamic regime by saying that we are not going to succumb to Islam. We're not Muslim, and you are murdering us in the name of your religion. So this is how we fight back. Okay. It's still very painful. So yeah, this would be kind of like a mix between a celebration of life and a funeral. Oh, sorry. So guys, one thing I wanted to point out is that I know it's difficult to tell, but the song, this is an Iranian song, okay? It's in one of the dialects. هر کی میدونه آهنگ کجایه بهم بگین. But what's really important to note here is that this is like the exact opposite of what the Islamic regime wants, right? So what the Islamic regime wants Iranians to do is they want Iranians to, oh, Allahu Akbar, la 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 la, right, whatever, and like just they singing and dancing is banned. Remember, so under Islam, singing and dancing is haram. And so what the Islamic regime wants is, for every single religious event or celebration or whatever, whether it's a wedding or a funeral or whatever, like they expect and they demand Iranians to do it the Islamic way, okay? But obviously Iranians were not Muslim. Islam is an occupying, invading force, and so in defiance of the Islamic regime murdering their brother, they held the wedding that he was supposed to be at to get married, and they are singing and dancing like they're wearing black, but they're still singing and dancing, and it's Iranian songs. So there's nothing Arabic about this. There's no durka. And guys, you can even tell from the way they're dressed, right? These are not durkas. These are normal Iranians who are being occupied by Islam, right? Like you don't see a single durka here. And again, like this is pretty much like their way of saying like F you to Islam and F you to the Islamic regime. Because guys, that song they're playing is supposed to be like a happy, dancey wedding song. But unfortunately, a lot of our songs have become funeral songs. So just one thing I want to point out as well. So the reason that there are no women in the video here is because according to Islam, right? According to Islam, men and women have to be separated. So the reason that you're only seeing men here is because they literally don't want to risk the lives of the women in their families by having them join, okay? Because, you know, amongst, you know, Iranian society, it's very normal for men and women to be together, right? It's very Western in that way. I mean, you guys saw images and videos from you know, Iran pre-1979. So the reason that you don't see any women in the footage here is because this is a funeral, and they know, guys, remember, any Iranians who hold a funeral for anyone who was murdered by the Islamic regime, they are literally at risk of being raided and murdered and executed by the Muslim Nazis. And they've done this numerous times, right? They've done this numerous times. So that's why you don't see any women here, because they want to keep their women safe, because when the Muslim Nazis, when they take Iranian women, they rape them. And they gang rape them. And oftentimes they gang rape them so hard that they have to remove their uteruses in order to remain alive and survive. And I'm not exaggerating about that, right? Iran's security agents gang raped 2 nurses detained for aiding protesters. This is an article from March 15. 2 nurses working in a Tehran hospital who treated wounded protesters during the nationwide uprising in January were tortured and repeatedly gang raped by security agents while in custody. People familiar with the matter told Iran International. The sources based in Tehran requested anonymity for fear of retribution. The nurses were among medical staff at Tehran's Rajai Cardiovascular Medical and Research Center, who treated people injured during the massive protests that erupted in late December and spread into early January, drawing millions into the streets and prompting a crackdown that led to mass arrests and at least 36,500 deaths. I mean, this number is now over 54,000, but we know that, I mean, this article is from March 15, but now we know that it's actually higher than this. It's at least 54,000. One of the nurses, a 33-year-old woman, was repeatedly abused and raped during detention, according to informed sources who spoke with Iran International. Sources said agents subjected her to various forms of sexual torture. In addition to assaulting her with their fingers, agents raped her in groups of 2 or 3 over consecutive days. They also raped her by inserting a foreign object into her anus, causing severe bleeding, the sources said. In another form of torture, agents took her along with dozens of other detained women to an elevated place and then pushed them all into a small pit-like space, the sources said. The injuries inflicted on the nurse were so severe that doctors had to remove part of her intestine, and she now lives with a colostomy bag. Her uterus also suffered severe tearing, and she has so far undergone 2 surgeries. Doctors may ultimately be forced to remove her uterus completely, the source added. Okay, seems like we have a troll on guys, we have a troll on Rumble. Let me get rid of this troll on Rumble. All right. Got rid of the troll on Rumble. And once in a while the cockroaches come in and they just post garbage, right? But anyways, I have zero tolerance for trolls. Anyways, so yeah, going back to so going back to this video, yeah, this is why you don't see any Iranian women here, because it's a risk. It's a risk, right? I mean, Iranian men who are arrested by the Islamic regime, I mean, it's a nightmare. It's a nightmare. But the Muslim Nazis, they treat Iranian women even worse, because according to their religion, according to their ideology, non-Muslim women, they're basically like a prize, right? So they can be treated as sex slaves and they have no rights. Okay, so I mean, just think about the just think about how many Europeans were taken as slaves by the Muslims, right? And there's a lot of historical info on that. So there you go. But yeah, I want to end off with one final note. I spoke about this briefly, I think, but I want to bring this up again. So Mehdi Zarif is only 22. On his birthday, he was handed a death sentence by the Islamic Republic. Arrested during Iran's national uprising, Mehdi was subjected to intense pressure, forced to confess, and suffered a heart complication during interrogation. His life is now in grave danger, but there is still time to save him. Be his voice. This is Mehdi Zarif. He's only 22 years old. And the Islamic regime being, literally like demons. They're literally demons on hell. There's a reason I call the Islamic regime the feces of Satan, is because the feces of Satan, they're now purposely sentencing Iranians to death on their birthdays just for the psychological torture aspect of it, and again as a way to suppress the Iranian people and prevent us from rising up. Okay, so I wanted to end off with this. Let me get to your questions, comments, and super chats. And guys, don't forget, I will be doing another live stream in probably about an hour or so from now. The Goldie show, where I get into the geopolitical analysis. So don't go anywhere, guys, because we're just getting started and there's a lot to go over. Red Dragon says Javid Shah. Thank you so much, Red Dragon. Javid Shah. And then we have Sorfa, too cool. 40 years of darkness over. Yes, almost. We're very close to the end, and we all see the writing on the wall, especially the Islamic regime, and that's why the Islamic regime is becoming even more cruel, because just like any totalitarian dictatorship, the closer they are to collapsing, the more vicious and violent they're going to get in trying to preserve themselves. And then Kenny says, my new work schedule has been hectic, but I'm so glad to catch Goldie live. Thank you. So happy that you're here, Kenny. Payanda Iran. Thank you so much. Very kind of you to say. And then Ben Valentine says, news from Brisbane. Fatime Pasandide, the Iranian soccer player who chose to stay in Australia while the rest of the team was forced to return, was granted Aussie citizenship. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Wow. Guys, congratulations to Australia. What an amazing move. Like, honestly, you guys have made an amazing decision, because, Iranians who flee the Islamic regime and go to various countries, honestly, some of the biggest contributors, right? Like, just remember, 10% of the Iranian people live outside of occupied Iran. That's a huge percentage, right? Like, think about that. 10% of the people of a country live outside of the country. And the vast majority of us is because we've escaped the Durkas and, you know, the Muslim Nazis and all of that. And everywhere we go, right, we always contribute. And, you know, think about why you never hear about mass migration of Iranians, right? Like, when was the last time anyone ever heard about, like, oh, we need to accept like 20,000 Iranians into our country? Why is it always that you always hear about like mass migration of Durkas, right? But you never hear about the mass migration of Iranians, right? There's a reason for that. It's because Iranians, we don't fit into the globalist agenda because we are literally fighting to free our country. And guys, I guarantee you, as soon as Iran is free, you guys are going to see the biggest global brain drain in Western societies, as the vast majority of Iranians will return to Iran to help rebuild the country, right? Maybe not even on like a permanent basis, right? They might not even go there permanently. I mean, like, for example, let's take myself. I can guarantee you guys, as soon as Iran is free, I'm literally catching the first flight to go back to Iran to help rebuild the country. Now, whether or not I actually stay there is another point entirely. But do I want to go back and help contribute and help rebuild my country? Absolutely, 100%. Especially after what happened to me in Canada, right? With like the Muslim Brotherhood here in Canada, and of course, you know, FFDF, right? Where I was literally accused of Islamophobia and kicked out of my party for raising awareness about Islamic jihad. So yeah, I kind of feel like Canadian politics, it has a lot to learn. Definitely don't feel appreciated in Canadian politics, but you know, maybe I can use my experience to help rebuild Iran. Who knows? Yeah, guys, I totally, a lot of people are asking about tours. Yeah, guys, when Iran is free, don't worry. When Iran is free, I will have a side hustle set up where I'll be doing like tours, okay? And then that way you guys will know it's legit because, you know, I'm going to be organizing the tours, so it's not going to be like a random person. So don't worry, guys, don't worry. As soon as Iran is free, I will start my side hustle business. By the way, Rose is going to help me with that. So Rose and I, we're going to start our side hustle. I don't know, we're going to call it like Ghamari Tours or something. I don't know what we'll call it. But yeah, and then we'll make sure that you guys get like the best tours of Iran with, you know, like the best tour guides, and, you know, go to the best places and 100% safe. Yeah, I know, Rose. Don't forget Sosomos. I know. Yeah, that's our restaurant, right? Sosomos is the restaurant. There you go. But yeah, it'll be like actual field trips. Anyways. Next we have Stephen Riley. He says they will have need for an international contract lawyer when the Shah takes over. The U.S. and other countries will be trying to invest in Iran. Yeah, so I mean, the Shah has already said that they're looking forward to, you know, investments, and the Shah has met with many American investors and businessmen actually. So yeah, there's a whole plan in place to, you know, allow and, you know, promote and encourage you know, investment from various countries, including the United States. T. Thompson, a couple years ago, a home health worker did a wellness check on me. Came to find out he was a doctor and very recent Iranian expat. He was surprised I knew anything about Iran. Wow. Yeah, I mean, guys, just think about that, right? Like the situation in Iran is so bad that literal doctors, right? Like doctors are leaving Iran, going to a different country, giving up their status and prestige as medical doctors because that's how bad the living conditions are, right? Yeah. Baby Silver Bullet. Bapish man, Ferid Farrokhzad. We will fight until we win. Be safe. Don't forget to flip on Conduit. I agree. I see people in Iran asking for it on X and TGM. Yes, so guys, just a quick reminder, Conduit, for anyone who wants to help Iranians in their fight for freedom, let me just share this with you guys really quickly. So, Conduit, if you want to help Iranians fight for freedom, you can download Conduit. And if you run Conduit, this gives them access to internet. I don't know how it works. Don't ask me, but like we've gone over the tech details of this numerous times in the last like 8 months, since January pretty much. Of course, I'm only recommending those people to download Conduit if you have like, unlimited internet, right? Like if your internet connection is high speed and it's unlimited and you're wondering, okay, how can I help the Iranian people? Literally just downloading Conduit and running it on your laptop or your phone or whatever, that's one of the most effective ways to help the Iranian people. And it's also free, right? So it doesn't actually take anything away from you, but you're helping them. And it's something with like the peer-to-peer or the B2B connection. I'm not a techie person, don't ask me, but like I have been running Conduit nonstop on my laptop since January. I even run Conduit when I'm live streaming, and I've never had any issues like lag or anything like that when I'm live streaming either. But again, I would say, just only do this if you have like unlimited internet, right? Like if your internet is limited, don't feel bad if you can't run it. That's like, no one's judging you for that. But if it doesn't cost you anything, definitely one of the ways that you can help the Iranian people. So thank you so much, Baby Silver Bullet, for the reminder. Before I forget, I just want to go to a Rumble rant. That's what it's called. It's called a Rumble rant. So Deplora Blonde says, Javid Nam, Javid Shah, Bapish, God bless. Thank you so much, and God bless you, and God bless America. Guys, we can't wait. We Iranians, we can't wait until Iran is free and we can welcome everyone, especially our American friends and allies, back to the country with open arms. We just have to get rid of the Durkas first, right? We have to get rid of the jihadis first. But when Iran is free, guys, it's going to be a huge party, and all of you are invited. Next we have, last comment is from Rose. Rose says, it really aggravates me that it seems I'm one of the only people still talking about these horrific acts in my groups, and no one else seems to care. Love from Ohio and Javid Shah. Thank you so much, Rose. Yeah, you know what? It is frustrating. I mean, I think the reason that a lot of people don't maybe care or they've forgotten about it is because this is happening so far away, right? It just doesn't seem relevant. And that's, for most people, unless they're able to make a direct emotional connection to what's happening, it's difficult to remember or to care. One of the reasons that you care so much is because, you initially tuned in and you've been with all of us on this journey, and, you're part of our amazing community. And so you're invested, right? Like, you've heard from Petito and you've seen all the videos and the images, and, you've seen what the mainstream media isn't showing. I would say, just the fact that you're continuing to speak out, that in and of itself is a huge help. But, also I would say maybe, find ways to try and relate it. But, also it's difficult, but you can't force everyone to care. And, that's just the reality of politics, and that's just the reality of geopolitics. But what I can tell you is the fact that you care, and the fact that you're here, and the fact that you are speaking up, and not just you, Rose, but everyone who's tuning in and watching this live, and everyone who's tuning in and watching the replay, thank you to all of you, because you are the reason that I'm motivated to do this every day, and you're the reason why I feel encouraged to keep on speaking out and sharing all of this info. And guys, we have come so far. We're pretty much like family now, and we're gonna see this through to the end. And we're also emotionally invested in this. And I'm just grateful to all of you. So thank you so much to all of you for being here, being on this journey with us Iranians. And by the way, Rose, I love your name because you have the same name as my sister. So your parents have very good taste in names. Just wanted to say. God bless you, Rose. Okay, guys, so I wanted to thank all of you for tuning in to day 206 of Iran Revolution Live. Don't go anywhere. I will be back shortly, probably in about an hour or so, maybe less. But because I'm going to be going over the current geopolitical analysis, I'm going to be talking about the boom booms. I'm going to be talking about the internal division within the Islamic regime. And of course, the latest from President Trump and his administration. So stick around for that. Don't go anywhere. Make sure that you have your notifications turned on, that you are liked and subscribed. And I will see all of you guys very soon. As always, I'm Israel Chai. God bless America, Javid Shah, and Payande Iran. I'll see you guys soon.
غرق انقلاب است. کشور ما، تاریخ ما در سینه گر فرا گرفته، گویی اهورا مستا دوباره در نور خود مرا گرفته. اشکم سرودی سر میدهم باز فارغ از رنج و تشویش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. هن ای پدر، هن ای پسر، برخیز و با ما شو همگام. درد آن تجربه تلخ ما را نکشیده در آب. بگذار هر دم بغرند گرگ‌ها دم لباس میش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ای کارگر، ای برزگر، راحت کنون ادامه دارد در این زمان که پرتو یزدان از هر سو بر تو میبارد. پس پیش به سوی آزادی از بحر خزر تا کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. خلق‌ها به پا بهر دفاع از استقلال و آزادی، تا بشکنیم پشت ارتجاع تیریزی ویران آبادی. تا زنده سازیم سنت‌های ملی از من آیین و کیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. با امید روزی که تمام این دلبشو انقلاب تموم بشه و ما در روشنایی، نور و سعادت مردم کشورمون غرق بشیم. نه خارجی، نه بیگانه، نه مستشارهای ویرانی، نه چیر خاران، نه کاسه لیسان، فقط هم رزمان ایرانی. ما با شرافت میهنی بسازیم بهر فرزندان خویش. مردان بیایی داخل صف ما اکنون که آغاز رویاست. دشمنان بدانی ما زنده هستی، بعد از ما هم ایران پابرجاست. آن روح شیطان ما را فریب داد با صد شعار مردمیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. ایران غرق انقلاب است، به پیش به پیش به پیش. پرچم ما پرچم ایران غرق خون شهیدان، روی شانه هامان حمل می‌کنیمش در هر خیابان و میدان. تا ماسک دلقکان را برداریم از روی تسبیح و ریش.